are trying to foment an insurrection. They're trying to foment sedition.
The seditious six told our troops to revolt against the president.
You could not get more dangerous than this.
The Democrat Party has been completely overtaken by Trump derangement syndrome, and now we have these deranged statements from sitting members of Congress.
One thing we have learned over the past decade is that President Trump is best when he has a foil. He loves to have an enemy that he can direct the entire MAGA movement to focus on. It has worked extraordinarily well for him. The enemy now is, of course, in Republicans' words, quote, the seditious six. Those are the lawmakers who put out a video telling the military to disobey any orders they found lawful. A few problems with the video, among them that they couldn't point to any order that was illegal. Today, the law got involved. The FBI demanded interviews with the six. The DOJ says an investigation could lead to charges against them. The Pentagon is investigating Senator Kelly because he's still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. With us now, Lieutenant Colonel Buzz Patterson, served in the United States Air Force. Dan Turrentine, co-host of Two Ways the Morning Meeting, former Democratic advisor. Gents, good to see you. Buzz, I want to start with you because this has particular meaning for someone like you. You used to carry the nuclear football. You were the guy that the president would say, okay, we're under attack, we're launching nukes against the Russians or the Chinese or whoever it was. In those situations, the chain of command matters the absolute most. And at the same time, I want to be fair about what these members of Congress did. We covered it from the very beginning. It challenges good order and discipline. It sows doubt inside the U.S. military. It threatens members of the military. If all of a sudden now Congress doesn't like a certain order, when Democrats are in charge, they may come after members of the military. All bad things. You, though, have used the word sedition. That's a whole different level than challenging good order and discipline. I'm wondering why you think it rises to the level of sedition.
Well, legally, I'm not a lawyer, but I'll tell you that what Mark Kelly did, Senator Kelly did, was, and he knew better. They all six knew better, Leland. There's just no doubt about that. So, so what he did was basically, I think it's 18 U.S. Code. I can't remember the exact chapter, but it basically says that encouraging military members or members of the naval forces of this country to either not obey orders or to circumvent their chain of command or punishable, and they're punishable for up to 20 years in prison. What I think is especially egregious about this, guys, is the fact that they knew what they were doing and they did it anyway. They're not in the chain of command, as you pointed out, Leland. They're not. They're not even a part of it. I mean, they get to control the purse strings and that's it. And I think what they've done is really set up the junior officers and the junior enlisted who are going to say, hey, I can say no to this order, whether it's legal or not, because I've got these Democrat representatives that are going to bail me out.
And I think what I was sort of getting at, and Dan, I want to get to you in a second on this, but I feel as though for somebody, especially in your position, who would have been in the chain of command to launch nuclear weapons that would kill millions of people and start another world war, that is why in those moments you can't question orders and you don't want to have that doubt sown in.
Yes, and that's absolutely correct. And trust me, if you're the nuclear football carrier, you are well aware of the difference between a legal order and an illegal order. And I always thought about what I would possibly do. As long as I felt like President Clinton was of good sound mind and body, I was going to do what he ordered, because it would be legal, right?
So long as he was of good sound. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, to you. Buzz just said that they knew what they were doing. Caroline Levitt called it Trump derangement syndrome. Is this exactly what those six wanted to have happen, or do you think they underestimated it?
No, I think it was absolutely a political stunt to try to get into Trump's head and also to try to project strength. I mean, you guys said it. They knew what they were doing. Look, to be kind of Clintonian, Buzz, along with your former boss, I worked for Mrs. Clinton. What they were saying is, if you get an illegal order doing this, but of course they couldn't point to an illegal order, right? So they're being a little cute with it, but in typical Trump fashion, he took it to 11 in his response. He also wants to project.
Right. Well, that's the game.
But the irony of this, Leland, is Trump attacking these six just like when Democrats went at Trump in 2023 with all these indictments, it has turbocharged their supporters. Their fundraising is going to go through the roof now, and it galvanizes Democrats in reverse. Trump is coming after us, right? He's coming after you. And so it's just amazing how the playbook has been turned now on our side of the aisle.
I want to play for the audience. This is the reaction from Kelly, Crow, and Slotkin. Slotkin being the person who organized this video.
I said something that was pretty simple and non-controversial. But, Rachel, I'm not going to be silenced. I'm not going to be intimidated.
I am not going to be threatened and intimidated by the President of the United States. I have a job to do, and that is to ensure people follow the law.
I would argue that one of the things that he's been doing by repeating it and talking about it is trying to distract us from the big stories of last week, which were the Epstein files and then the economy.
Well, they were the ones who put out the video to start with. I'm not going to be intimidated was clearly part of the talking points. Jason Crow, I have a job to do that is to ensure people follow the law. No, that's not actually what your job in Congress is to do. But all of that to be said, Dan, it feels like you're right that, yes, it does galvanize the base. Does it, though, do anything, or perhaps even as a negative, for the swing voters who don't really care? And you know, locking somebody up, going after Donald Trump is a little different than saying these people put out this video and now we're mad at them. What does the middle of America think about this?
Leland, that's the thing I always ask myself, because there's two sides to that coin. Independent swing voters hate when Trump does stuff like, hey, I'm going to treason and it's seditious and his outrage. But they also don't like political stunts. And we can all agree this was a political stunt. Elise Slotkin wants to run for president. Mark Kelly wants to run for president. I'm sure that was in the back of their mind as they organized this. So the question is, who has repulsed swing voters more? Hopefully it's not our side.
Buzz, I think in a weird way, this has galvanized, I want to say MAGA, but also just sort of generic Republicans. And there was a lot of, I would say, MAGA-adjacent Republicans or non-MAGA Republicans that I've talked to over the past week who are really angry about what the Democrats did here, that it seems to strike a nerve that's different than just politics.
I 100% agree with that, Leland. And I'll tell you what, it's also galvanized. I think Dan's on something, but what's also galvanized is the U.S. military veteran community. The outrage from what I'm seeing, not only from my friends and my peers, the people I served with, but on social media is that, almost to a man and a woman, people cannot believe that somebody like Mark Kelly would throw a potential service member under the bus. I guarantee you, gentlemen, that everybody that comes in the military on day one understands the difference between a legal order and an illegal order, and you have to learn how to do you better get smarter than UCMJ very, very quickly. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is some poor young people are going to feel like they can say no to just about anything, legal or not, and it's not going to bode well.
Yeah, Dan, last question, you get 30 seconds. The words from Slotkin, now blaming Trump for elevating this, at least to my mind, is I read this, having studied, been in this business in this town for a long time, is she's trying to get out of it. If you're starting to pivot and say the other guy's amplifying things because he wants to distract from the economy, that's not doubling down.
Well, it is and it isn't, right? Which is they're all saying, I'm not going to back down. I think they're enjoying their time in the sun. Look, Slotkin served in the CIA. Mark Kelly, served. He's active duty still. They want to remind people of their credentials. They want to get it. But then look, then they read the same polls you and I do. People want to talk about affordability. Epstein's clickbait. So they're just pivoting back to popular things because it makes Trump look like he's not focused on you. So it's smart politics. I don't blame them. For once, they set a trap and he walked right into it.
I'm not sure.
I don't think any of them are going to jail.
I don't think any of them are going to jail. But I'm not. We have to figure out who ends up in the trap on this one, at least politically. Gentlemen, Dan, Buzz, thank you both very much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.